It ran for 7 seasons and changed what television believed a woman could be. The woman at the center of it was carrying a personal grief so heavy it never fully lifted. The man who played her boss was nothing like his character and everything like him at the same time. And the woman who stole every scene she was in almost didn't make it to the set at all. 7 seasons, one newsroom, none of them as certain as they looked. Number 1, Mary Tyler Moore as Mary Richards. Mary Tyler Moore was born on December 29, 1936, in New York, and was 33 years old when she became Mary Richards. The single, independent woman who moved to Minneapolis, walked into a newsroom, and quietly rewrote what American television believed a woman's life could look like. She wasn't looking for a husband, she was building a career. In 1970, that was radical. It still registers. What audiences watching her throw that hat in the air never saw was what she was carrying underneath it. She struggled with type 1 diabetes her entire adult life, managing it through decades of physical and emotional discipline that rarely made headlines. Her son, Richard Meeker, died in 1980 from an accidental, self-inflicted gunshot wound. She absorbed that grief and kept working, not because she was unaffected, but because work was how she survived. She won 7 Emmy Awards across her career. She co-founded MTM Enterprises with then-husband Grant Tinker, producing some of the finest television of the 1970s and 1980s. She spent her later years advocating for juvenile diabetes research with the same precision she brought to every performance. Mary Tyler Moore died on January 25, 2017, at 80 years old with an estimated net worth of $60 million. Mary Richards turned the world on with her smile. Moore spent 50 years making sure that smile meant something real. Number 2, Ed Asner as Lou Grant. Ed Asner was born on November 15, 1929, in Kansas City, and was 40 years old when he became Lou Grant, the gruff, demanding, occasionally terrifying news director who hired Mary Richards against his better judgment and spent 7 seasons being quietly grateful he did. Lou barked. Lou grumbled. Lou cared deeply about everyone in that newsroom and told almost none of them directly. Asner played that contradiction so cleanly that audiences trusted Lou completely within minutes of meeting him. He won 5 Emmy Awards for the role across the series and its spin-off, a record that reflects not just talent, but a consistency most actors never approach. Off-screen, he was one of Hollywood's most outspoken political activists, union president, vocal critic of U.S. foreign policy, willing to absorb professional consequences for his convictions. His activism cost him commercial work during certain periods, and he accepted that without apology. He kept building, he kept working, he kept saying exactly what he thought. Ed Asner died on August 29, 2021, at 91 years old, with an estimated net worth of $10 million. Lou Grant told the truth even when nobody wanted to hear it. Asner spent his entire career doing exactly the same thing. Number 3, Valerie Harper as Rhoda Morgenstern. Valerie Harper was born on August 22, 1939, in New York, and was 31 years old when she became Rhoda Morgenstern, Mary's neighbor, best friend, the wisecracking New Yorker who said out loud everything Mary was too polite to say and made the whole show funnier and warmer for it. She won 4 Emmy Awards for the role, 3 for the original series and 1 for the Rhoda spinoff. The spinoff ran for 4 seasons and proved she could carry a show entirely on her own terms. Then the industry did what it does to women at a certain age, and the offers thinned. In 2013, she was diagnosed with leptomeningeal carcinomatosis, a rare brain cancer, and given 3 months to live. She lived 6 more years. She spoke publicly about her diagnosis with a directness and warmth that turned her final chapter into something that helped thousands of people facing their own impossible news. Valerie Harper died on August 30th, 2019, at 80 years old with an estimated net worth of $4 million. Rhoda always said what needed saying. Harper did the same thing at the very end, and it mattered just as much. Number 4. Ted Knight as Ted Baxter. Ted Knight was born on December 7, 1923, in Terryville, Connecticut, and was 46 years old when he became Ted Baxter. The vain, pompous, magnificently unaware anchorman who delivered every line with total conviction and zero self-awareness. Ted Baxter was the joke of the newsroom. Knight played him with such commitment that the joke never got old across 7 seasons. What almost nobody knew was what Knight had survived to get there. He served in World War II, saw combat, and carried that experience quietly for the rest of his life. He spent decades in small roles and voice work, the invisible years that precede most overnight successes, before Lou Grant's newsroom finally gave him the room he needed. He won 2 Emmy Awards for Ted Baxter and deserved both completely. After the show, he found another substantial hit with Too Close for Comfort, proving the success was never accidental. He was diagnosed with cancer in 1985 and kept the severity largely private, continuing to work until he physically couldn't. Ted Knight died on August 26, 1986, at 62 years old, with an estimated net worth of $5 million. Ted Baxter never once understood why people laughed at him. Knight understood exactly why, and that was the whole performance. Number 5. Betty White as Sue Ann Nivens. Betty White was born on January 17, 1922, in Oak Park, Illinois, and was 51 years old when she joined the Mary Tyler Moore Show as Sue Ann Nivens, the happy homemaker, relentlessly cheerful on camera, relentlessly sharp-tongued off it. Sue Ann was the show's great comic surprise. Nobody saw her coming. Nobody forgot her after. White had been working in television since its earliest days, one of the first women to produce and control her own show, decades before that was recognized as the achievement it was. She brought 50 years of craft to Sue Ann and made every single scene look effortless. She won the Emmy for the role in 1975 and 1976 consecutively. What followed is one of the most remarkable second acts in television history. Golden Girls, Boston Legal, Hot in Cleveland, a cultural renaissance in her 80s that made her more famous than she had ever been. She became genuinely beloved in a way that has nothing to do with nostalgia and everything to do with who she actually was. Generous, precise, funny without cruelty, and completely without pretension. Betty White died on December 31, 2021, at 99 years old, with an estimated net worth of $75 million. Sue Ann Nivens hid daggers behind a smile. White hid nothing. That warmth was entirely real. Number 6. Gavin MacLeod as Murray Slaughter. Gavin MacLeod was born on February 28, 1931, in Mount Kisco, New York, and was 38 years old when he became Murray Slaughter, the newsroom writer, Mary's closest work friend, the man who did the actual job while Ted Baxter took all the credit and somehow managed not to combust from the injustice of it daily. Murray was the show's moral anchor alongside Mary, the person who kept the newsroom honest when Lou was intimidating and Ted was impossible. MacLeod played that steadiness with a warmth that made Murray feel like the colleague everyone wishes they had. After the show, he found an entirely new audience as Captain Steubing on the Love Boat, a role so different from Murray that it demonstrated a range the newsroom never fully required of him. He became a passionate Christian faith advocate later in life, co-writing books with his wife and speaking openly about how faith rebuilt his marriage after a period of serious difficulty. Gavin MacLeod died on May 29, 2021, at 90 years old with an estimated net worth of $5 million. Murray Slaughter did the work without needing the credit. MacLeod spent 50 years doing exactly the same thing. Number 7. Cloris Leachman as Phyllis Lindstrom. Cloris Leachman was born on April 30, 1926, in Des Moines, Iowa, and was 44 years old when she became Phyllis Lindstrom, Mary's landlady, self-appointed life coach, and the woman most convinced of her own sophistication in a city that never quite confirmed it. Phyllis was pretension played perfectly. Leachman made her infuriating and irresistible simultaneously. She won the Emmy for the role, and then won a spin-off. Phyllis ran for 2 seasons and proved the character could carry her own weight outside the newsroom. What gets lost in that trajectory is the sheer range Leachman operated across simultaneously. She won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for The Last Picture Show in 1971, while playing Phyllis. Film and television, drama and comedy at the same time. That is not a common achievement. She worked with a fearlessness that never softened with age, taking roles that embarrassed, challenged, and surprised well into her 80s. She became a committed vegan and animal rights advocate and never apologized for either. Cloris Leachman died on January 27, 2021, at 94 years old with an estimated net worth of $8 million. Phyllis always believed she was the most interesting person in the room. Leachman actually was. Number 8. Georgia Engel as Georgette Franklin. Georgia Engel was born on July 28, 1948, in Washington, D.C., and was 24 years old when she became Georgette Franklin, Ted Baxter's girlfriend and eventual wife, soft-voiced, gentle, and quietly the most emotionally intelligent person in every scene she inhabited. Georgette was written as comic support. Engel turned her into something more, a woman whose gentleness was never weakness, whose patience with Ted was never delusion, whose warmth was the real thing in a newsroom full of performed warmth. She won the Emmy for the role, and the audience never forgot her. She was famously private, almost no interviews, almost no personal disclosures, a life kept entirely separate from the industry's appetite for access. She remained a devoted Christian Scientist throughout her life, and when she died it was reported that she had kept her illness entirely private from even close colleagues. Georgia Engel died on April 12, 2019, at 70 years old, with an estimated net worth of $2 million. Georgette Franklin loved Ted Baxter unconditionally and without apology. Engel lived her entire life on exactly the same terms. Number 9. What the Mary Tyler Moore Show was really saying. The Mary Tyler Moore Show ran from 1970 to 1977. 7 seasons, 168 episodes. It won the Emmy for Outstanding Comedy Series 5 consecutive years. Those are the numbers. They are not the point. The point is what it told women watching from living rooms across America. That a single woman could build a life around work and friendship and self-respect without a husband at the center of it. That was not the message television was delivering in 1970. It was barely the message television was delivering when the show ended. Moore and her writers said it anyway, clearly, warmly, week after week. And millions of women felt something shift that they couldn't entirely name. The cast carried that responsibility differently. Moore carried it with grief underneath. Asner carried it with conviction. White carried it with joy. Harper carried it until the very end with a courage that went far beyond any script. The show didn't just reflect what women's lives could look like. It quietly gave permission for those lives to exist. That's the Mary Tyler Moore Show, then and now. A show that told women their lives were enough, exactly as they were. Drop a comment, which story hit you hardest? And here's the real question. Do you think television today is still keeping that promise, or have we quietly gone backwards? Because the more you look at what this cast built, the harder that question gets. If this one stayed with you, you already know what to do.